Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to my Joyful Living Kitchen. I'm Kathryn. I'm your nutritionist and Joyful Living Coach, and this is Eat Your Way to Healthy, 90-Day Jumpstart. And this week we talked all about hormones. You took the hormone quiz, and then you had a DIY program, kind of do it yourself, on all of the 7 different hormones that were involved in really helping your body feel balanced or feeling out of whack, okay? So tonight, I thought we would go over my favorite hormone protocols for all hormones, but really looking at your foods and how we eat. And so we're gonna go over that, and then after we're done with that, and please, this is interactive. So if you have questions, just unmute and ask questions as I go through. I may be going through kind of quickly because as I go through, I still want you to stop me if you have questions about any of the foods that I'm offering, or feel free to just jot down something, and we'll have a little time for questions and answers at the end. And then if you have any questions about hormones or anything else you have in this program, hey, please just feel free to ask. So before we get started, let's just do a little breathing exercise to calm and balance ourselves. So are you ready? Take a nice deep breath in. And hold it. Now take your tongue and place it right behind your upper palate. And imagine that you have a neurotransmitter loop spinning right here. Actually, when you put your tongue at the top of your upper palate, that is what opens up that neurotransmitter loop, and it helps you to calm and center yourself. So keeping your tongue there, we're gonna breathe in for 4, we're gonna hold it for a count of 7, and then we're gonna exhale for a count of 8. It's just one of the best things to get you calm and centered. And if you have problems with sleeping, this is going to help you breathe for sure. But sleeping, this is excellent. And you know, I was talking to Vicki today, and Vicki was talking about another thing for sleeping and hormones that I love. It's a salty banana. This is especially good for adrenals, those pretty little organs that are right at the back of your body, right on top of your kidneys. And you take a banana, you salt it with some really good organic sea salt, and you eat about 10 cashews with it. The properties, the nutritional properties in those, and the potassium from the banana, they help you sleep like a baby. So if you're having trouble sleeping, that's a great thing. So let's jump in. I know your tongues are all right there. So let's breathe. Breathe in for 4, keeping your tongue behind your palate. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now hold for 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And breathe out forcefully for 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Keeping your tongue still back there. Breathe in for 4. Hold. 4, 5, 6, 7. We're doing about 3 rounds. Now forceful breathing out like a lion. 7, 8. 3 more. Breathe in for 4. Notice what's happening in your body. 4. Hold for 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe out forcefully. 6, 7, 8. In for 4. 2 more of these. Keeping your tongue where it is. Hold. And some people have trouble keeping their tongue there when they're breathing out. Just, it gets easier. No, it gets easier. Keep your tongue there. And now breathe out for 8. Forcefully. And then this is your last one. So give it all you got. Ready? Breathe in for 4. Hold. 5, 6, 7. And exhale forcefully. Go. Shake it all out. And then just get quiet and centered. Close your eyes and notice what's happening in your body. What do you feel? Do you feel a little different, a little calmer than when we started? Enjoy it. And we're going to jump in to the best foods for you to really look at balancing your hormones naturally. As we learned in the module, hormones are just chemical messengers. That's all they are. And they work like a symphony in your body. Say you had a big symphony and you have the cello, the violin, and all the other instruments. Well, think if the violin player wasn't very good, okay? Think about that. So what would happen? The whole orchestra would sound horrible, especially if this guy was mic'd up, right? If he had a microphone, oh my goodness, it would be a disaster. And so that's the way your hormones are. So many doctors, they just want to give you a pill or a patch to really fix your hormones, that one hormone. But I don't believe in that. I believe we need to fix this entire orchestra and make your body work like a symphony or a well-oiled machine. Because, like I said, hormones are just your body's chemical messengers or your body's control system. They say, you know, Will Rogers, check, 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 check everything off. And the real truth of this is hormones are, your pituitary and your hypothalamus that starts here, they send a message to your parathyroid gland and your thyroid gland, which is right here. And they produce something called cortisol. You all know cortisol. So then cortisol makes something called pregnenolone that you don't hear very often. It isn't talked about very much. Pregnenolone makes all of your hormones. But if you've got a lot of stress going on in your body, well, what happens is there's something called a pregnenolone steal. And you may remember this from the module. So what happens is that the hormones, they go into your cells, they do their thing, they deliver their messages. So pretend like this is a cell and this is your hormone. Pretend like this is the hormone cortisol, your bully hormone, your main stress hormone. So cortisol is coming like this and it's sticking in here. But because cortisol is a bully and pregnenolone is trying to balance it, you can't get that cortisol out. It stays in these cell receptors. You may have you may have other hormones. You may be producing enough hormones and you can't, none of the hormones can get into those cells because the cortisol is your bully. And the pregnenolone doesn't have enough substance to really produce cortisol or to produce more pregnenolone and make the other hormones. So that's why we get unbalanced. 90%, and I believe this, of hormone imbalance is stress, especially in this crazy time we're living in right now. Hormones, they affect almost every facet of your health. They make it really hard to lose weight, have babies, and Vicki, you know about that, and to even feel really happy. Unhealthy hormones, they increase your risk of certain cancers and all the chronic diseases. So hormone disruptors are a big piece of this as well. Hormone disruptors, they're in processed foods, shampoos, and even scented candles, air fresheners. There's so many chemicals out there right now. That's why we eat whole, real foods. So it doesn't take much to throw off your hormones. There's a delicate balance there, and your hormones just get out of whack. So if you've taken the hormone quiz, we'll have some time to talk about your particular hormones at the end of this. But we're going to use that data to give you what you really need. And for those of you that have done your consults with me, I've already done that work for you. So lucky you. Before we jump in to this tonight, I really want to look at the nutritious foods, the nutritious drinks that are your top or foods to balance your hormones naturally. So to help you feel satisfied, to increase your immunity, we're all over that lately, right? I see you guys shaking your heads, and bring your body to its perfect weight. Your first best thing you can do for your hormones, it's cruciferous vegetables. Say that 3 times fast, okay? Things like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale, cabbage, because they are so high in phytonutrients that just balance your estrogen naturally. And if you don't like these vegetables, which you really need to be eating these vegetables, hey, one thing you can do is take something called DIM, D-I-M. It's a supplement. You take about 4 of these pills a day, and if you're not eating these vegetables, it just balances everything naturally. So they break down a harmful and potent estrogen metabolite that promotes things like tumor growth and just gets your hormones really out of whack. You need to balance that. Oh, and by the way, they help with breast cancers the most. And this is really interesting. I used to speak a lot at the breast cancer support group. And speaking of this breast cancer support group and doing a lot of research on this, I found out that a lot of the emotion of breast cancer, and don't let this scare you, but for those of you who are real big givers, you give to everything. You give of yourself, your time, and you deplete yourself and you don't have a left. Cancer can grow there. This is something that I learned in Christiane Northrup's Wisdom, Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom. So if you're someone like that, look at some of the other emotional things you can do to really get out of that mode. You need to be taking care of yourself more than you are taking care of everyone else. And the good news, if you eat 2.5 cups, just 2.5 cups of broccoli or one of the other cruciferous, that's all you need to really feel balanced. Well, of course, you need to eat 7 to 10 cups of vegetables a day, but for the cruciferous, you can do it with 2.5 cups a week. I recommend more than that just because I love those vegetables and they make me feel so good. So the next thing you can eat are flax seeds. Now, flax seeds are interesting because most people buy them ground. Don't buy them ground, okay? No. If you buy them ground, they're probably rancid. They go rancid so fast. So you buy them whole and you throw them in your Vitamix. You throw them in your coffee grinder, but you want to wash it out really good so your flax seeds don't feel or don't taste like coffee, right? But they contain lignans. And lignans are phytoestrogenic compounds. They've been proved to help protect us against certain kinds of cancers and really balance your hormones. And adding only 2 to 3 tablespoons of ground flaxseed a day into things like your smoothies, your oatmeal, your salads, your cereals, they reduce cancer risks and they balance your hormones. I actually carry a little shaker full of ground flax seeds, and all through the day I just shake it. I use it like salt. Actually, I put a little salt in it, then I don't have to mix the two, and I shake it on my food. And they contain all kinds of fiber, they contain protein, and a big one for hormones are your essential fatty acids. We're going to talk more about essential fatty acids when we look at chia seeds, but chia and flax can be your best friends. I don't have any in here now because I've eaten my quotient of chia today, but I always put chia in my water. And this also helps, along with my vegetables, to make my bowels smooth as silk. The next thing you can do for your hormones, my favorite, is extra virgin olive oil. So extra virgin olive oil, it's a monounsaturated fat. They call it a MUFA, okay? And it just stands for monounsaturated fats. It's just an acronym, right? They are appetite suppressing. They give you satiety, so it makes you feel full, and they suppress leptin. What's leptin? Leptin is the hormone that regulates your hunger hormone. So you're not running around wanting to eat, eat, eat. And if you have an estrogen imbalance, you want to eat. That's one of the big signs, even when you're not hungry. So it also, if you just find you can't release weight, olive oil improves your sensitivity to insulin. So I'd say, it's kind of funny, we think fat makes us fat. I say increase your fats. But a lot of us, soy oil is all the buzz. And there have been so many studies done to really look at soy oil compared to olive oil. And soy, well, number one, soy is 95% genetically modified in America, so you don't want to eat it. But soy oil, especially if you're hormonal, it can really make you sick. So if you eat out a lot, so many of the restaurants have soy oil in so many of their foods. So really looking at or asking at the restaurants, what kind of oils do you use is huge. And if you've got soy oils in your cupboards, get rid of it. I switched my soy oil for something called bran oil. Oh, rice bran oil. It's really good. And then I also use coconut oil, which helps to improve your gut. It can improve your hormones, and olive oil. Those are my 3 only oils that I use. Next is avocados. Oh, who doesn't love an avocado? Raise your hand. I probably eat a whole avocado a day. Now, I remember back when I was on Weight Watchers many, many moons ago, okay? They told us to only eat a quarter of the avocado. Well, by the second day or the third day, that poor little avocado, it would get all black and ugly. You have to put the seed in it to make it so it doesn't get black and ugly. Well, I don't agree now that fat makes you fat. So I eat a whole avocado. Avocados, they have something called beta-systerol. It's a natural substance. It significantly lowers your blood cholesterol levels, and these have vitamin E. Vitamin E with selenium, they can heal your thyroid. So if you've got thyroid issues on that whole hormone quiz, your ticket is to do more vitamin E, avocados, vitamin E oil, and also to really look at eating more avocados. Okay, vitamin E and selenium. But how do you get selenium? You can get selenium in a little supplement, but who wants to take another supplement, right? I see you shaking your head. So you don't have to take another supplement. You can get it in Brazil nuts. Selenium is all over in Brazil nuts. Eat about 4 Brazil nuts a day, and you've got enough selenium to really balance your thyroid. And thyroid can be another reason why you're not releasing weight. So all the more reason to eat avocados and Brazil nuts. I like to see you get it in your foods. But avocados also balance your stress hormone, the cortisol, your main stress hormone. They restore something called DHEA. It's a hormone that's produced in your adrenal gland. So they decrease the inflammation that's typically associated with stress. So avocados are great. The next thing you can eat are organic apples, but make sure that you have apples that are organic. Or apples are one of the top fruits on the Dirty Dozen. They are the most sprayed, and you can find the Dirty Dozen at the Environmental Working Group's website. So just go ewg.org and you can see the Dirty Dozen, but apples are right there at the top, so they must be organic. If you don't want to eat something else organic, make sure you're eating your apples organic. They contain quercetin. It's a flavonoid, an antioxidant, and a natural antihistamine. It also has phytogenic properties that will balance your hormones. But the reason why I like apples so much, it's one of the fruits that I like. I don't like most fruits, is because they have malic acid that cleans out your liver. And when your liver's clean, your hormone symptoms go away. So, you know, we've heard it a lot, right? Apple a day, it keeps the doctor away. But almost every chronic disease associated with aging, including osteoporosis, heart disease, cancer, stroke, and type 2 diabetes, can be helped by just eating an apple a day. So eat your apple a day. The next thing we're going to talk about are chia seeds, okay? Chia seeds are so good for you. Do you remember that little chia pet when we were kids? That commercial, I'll never get it out of my head. Cha-cha-cha, chia, chia. Well, anyway, they are made for a lot more than growing seeds on this little chia pet, okay? On a per gram basis, chia seeds are touted to have the highest amount of omega-3s. We talked a little bit about omega-3s, but they just help balance your hormones. And a lot of people take fish oil, but because of all the mercury in the oceans right now, I don't recommend it. I recommend getting a more plant-based source of omega-3s. But the cool thing about chia seeds is that they have lots and lots of protein. Flax seeds do too, but chia seeds have more and a lot of fiber. So they're really good for you. Just put like 4 tablespoons a day in your water. They fluff up and you won't taste them, but you know you're getting all that fiber in your body. You're gonna feel a lot better. So what chia does for your hormones is it stabilizes your blood sugar, improves insulin sensitivity. Remember, insulin resistance keeps you from losing weight or bringing your body to its perfect weight. They ease metabolic syndrome. Symptoms like blood pressure and blood sugar spikes. They just keep your blood sugar balanced and smooth as silk. So really good for you. The next thing you need to be doing and this is so important, you'll always see me whenever we're on these calls with some kind of liquid. I'll have a green drink, I'll have water, because water, if you get dehydrated, you will release hormones faster than anything else. And without enough water, your appetite gets stimulated. So it's a double whammy. Just drink water and it flushes out all your toxins. This is crucial for preventing joint stiffness, weight gain, headaches, athletic performance if you're an athlete, poor recovery after exercise. Water's just so good for you. Think of our bodies. We are about, I've heard different studies. Some say about 65% water, some say 95. So somewhere in between, but we have a lot of water in our body. We need to keep replenishing it. And if you're someone that's not sleeping, water is so good. You think, I'm not going to drink more water because I'm going to get up and pee all night. Well, that's not true. Once your bladder gets used to it, it helps you from feeling thirsty and it helps you sleep better. Just try it on. The next thing are berries, especially blueberries. They lower blood sugar levels and the insulin resistance, you can make it go away by eating more whole real foods and berries. Your next ticket to hormonal health is cinnamon. Cinnamon offers a wonderful insulin balancing properties. It has insulin balancing effects. It helps with your muscle and your liver cells. It helps them respond more readily to insulin. It gives you a better response, and that means better blood sugar, and it balances everything. And then you have less insulin floating in your blood. It actually does what you need it to do, and you feel better fast. So cinnamon, I put cinnamon on my oatmeal in the morning. I use the cinnamon anise tea. I'm not sure if you guys have it, but I'm happy to send it out to you. I know I give it to my 3 Months to Thrive group, but it's so, so good for you. Next thing is oat bran. You know, we should kind of stop in the middle of this and see if you have any questions about anything I talked about so far, any comments, anything that you'd like to talk about. Vicki has a question, so let me just unmute you, and I'm going to spotlight your video. Great. Vicki, what's your question?
I just have a question about
About
I've been
what?
reading about apples. As I've been reading through some things say to peel them, and others don't specify peel. So, what should I be doing?
So, great question. When you peel your apples, so the pectin in the peel really can make it so you're not detoxifying as well. They also can harm your adrenals. So I know personally that you've got a little bit of adrenal fatigue, and I think apples with peelings are great, but when you have something called TAG disorder, and let me explain what TAG disorder is. It's when your thyroid, your adrenals, and your gut are all imbalanced. You shouldn't be eating the peel of the apple. But you know, after about a couple months, you're fine. But another way you can get around this is you bake the apple. So eat a baked apple, you can have some applesauce, and you can cook the apple with some peel, and you can eat it because that neutralizes the properties that imbalance your hormones. Make sense? Great, great. You're learning a lot? you get to be a little more overwhelmed, but I think it's more fun when we can do it live. Woohoo! Live and interactive. So let's go on. We have a few more things to cover, not too many. The next thing, we talked about cinnamon with oats. So I love to eat oats, but you know, I have to listen to my body, and you learn that in Eat Your Way to Healthy, because you know what, I spotlighted you, Vicki. I'm gonna bring the spotlight back on me, because otherwise you'll be the top person in the videos, and I'm sure you want that. There you go. Now I'm back on the spotlight. Okay, so you know, it's kind of funny. I can go for days eating oatmeal in the morning, and then my body just doesn't feel great. So I want you to listen to your body and notice how you're feeling. And it's really good to rotate your foods, because when you eat the same foods all the time, you're getting the same vitamins, the same minerals, and your body really wants to go to homeostasis or balance. And when you're getting all the nutrients that you need, that's when your body can balance so much better. So oat bran or oats, oats are so important to eat gluten-free. Bob's Red Mill makes a great one to really get gluten-free oats. And the reason for this, you think oatmeal, there is no gluten in oatmeal. I've read it all over, right? No, they're tricky. Manufacturers are tricky. What they do is they roll the oats in flour so they don't stick together, they don't clump. So if you aren't getting a gluten-free oat, it has gluten in it, it's gummy and sticky. Do you want a bunch of gum and stick in your gut? Kind of like the paste that we had in kindergarten. I don't know, maybe I'm dating myself, but I used to eat it. But it's gummy and sticky, and you don't want that in your stomach, right? So oats also have vitamin E. We talked about vitamin E for balancing hormones in the avocados. They also contain zinc, selenium, copper, iron, manganese, and magnesium. Let's talk a little about magnesium. So important for you to get magnesium. But I don't want you to take magnesium in a supplement. It's so big, but you can get it in your food. And when your magnesium is balanced in your body, your hormones, they run smooth as silk. So eating more cruciferous, more green vegetables, really getting in your oat bran is a much better way to go. They're packed with protein, they're packed with fiber, and they help balance your blood sugar. There's a theme here, right? Blood sugar balancing balances your hormones. And big thing is eating regular meals, because when you don't eat regular meals, your blood sugar just gets wonky. And they reduce your risk of heart attack and cholesterol. So next thing I want to talk about is something called buckwheat. And you know, you hear about buckwheat a lot in Russia and other countries, but buckwheat, it's so high in protein and it's low on the glycemic index, so it doesn't spike your blood sugars. It's a great alternative to rice. You can just make it as a porridge. And there's a porridge and eat your way to healthy. So you can use buckwheat for that. I suggest quinoa or buckwheat, but buckwheat is a great place. And then don't forget to put your cinnamon on it to balance those blood sugars. So after eating buckwheat, it's been proven, there's been a lot of studies that your body releases less insulin after you eat buckwheat than it does with starches like rice, wheat, and corn. So try it on. And then the next thing we're going to talk about are pomegranates, okay? Pomegranates are so good for you, and this is hilarious. So if you cut a pomegranate in half, it's red and white, it's got a lot of seeds in it, lots of membranes. Well, what does it look like? It looks like a vagina. It totally looks like a vagina. And nature's been really good to us. That's a signal that our pomegranates help with our hormone balance. Okay, maybe it's a stretch, but that's what I've read. They have anti-cancer properties, anti-inflammatory properties. We know inflammation causes all kinds of diseases. They have antioxidant properties, and they suppress cancers of the skin, breast, and the colon. So really, really good for you. And you know what I love to do? I drink something called an Izzy. It's a fizzy drink. You can get it on Amazon, and you can also get it, Whole Foods doesn't have pomegranate Izzies anymore. They have a few other flavors, but you can get these at Sprouts. I love my Izzies, and I probably drink 2 or 3 a week because it's just a little bit of apple juice. We know apples are good for us, pomegranate juice, and some carbonated water. But they possess natural compounds that inhibit enzymes in women's bodies, and they convert your weak estrogen. Your weak estrogen is called estrone because you want to have a predominance of estradiol. So it converts it, and that's what pomegranates do. That's why they're so good for balancing your hormones. Now we're going to talk about some herbs and spices because they're my favorite. You know, I say flavor your food to flavor your life. And we don't want to eat bland, boring pond scum. So turmeric is so good for us. I throw turmeric on everything. Sometimes I even put it in that flaxseed thing that I told you I shake on a lot of my food. Turmeric is just so great for inflammation. It gives you that zesty flavor, and it helps with so many things in your body. It helps your metabolism, but one of my favorite combinations is garlic, rosemary, thyme. Thyme, again, is really good for your thyroid. So you'd be amazed. Nature's given us our whole pharmacy. We just have to eat them, right? Ginger we know it's good for our digestion. A lot of us are drinking ginger in our lemon water in the morning. Cumin, great for your digestion. Curry is the same. Cayenne pepper, it just gets everything happy. But for some of you that are really hormonal, really watch when you have cayenne pepper because it can spur on those hot flashes, anything spicy. But turmeric, which is also called curcumin, it's definitely my favorite because it naturally reduces the inflammation in your body. It reduces pain and swelling. And I like to get it in the powder, but I used to have a whole lot of neck problems from my adrenal fatigue, and I would buy pills. So that's okay too. They're just uber expensive, and you don't need to have those because you can get it in your spices. And I love doing fresh turmeric too. Sometimes I put it in my ginger water with lemon in the morning. Speaking of ginger, ginger is another fabulous seasoning. It's proven to prevent and treat nausea, motion sickness. Chemotherapy patients use it a lot. It's an antioxidant. The way it works is it blocks potential nauseating effects of serotonin, that feel-good hormone, in your gut, okay? Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about, it's very controversial. And I would say use it as an every now and then substance, but for balancing hormones, there are people that use this all the time, and it's green tea. So the reason why I'm not really for green tea is because it has caffeine. And especially if you have adrenal fatigue, that caffeine is just going to really burn those adrenals out, pump them up, and then burn them out. So that's why I don't really recommend green tea. But matcha is really good for us. So if you don't have adrenal fatigue, rather than drinking green tea, I recommend matcha, okay? And matcha provides an energizing boost, and it also blocks the release of cortisol. So that's your main stress hormone. So sometimes it's great, but there's also been some proven studies that say it's great for conquering belly fat. And remember, there's no really good or bad in this program. Well, unless you're eating processed foods and things like that. It's about listening to your body and really getting yourself balanced. My next favorite thing for hormone balancing is bone broth. Oh my gosh. And I use Bonafide. I get it at my Whole Foods. I used to make it myself. It was a lot of work. The house always smelled. And for about $9, I can get a bag of it that'll last me a whole week. I eat about half a cup a day. And what I've been doing lately is I crack an egg in it. So I got some bone drop soup, and I put some nori, which is a seaweed, tear it up and throw it in there. Oh, it's so good. And nori is great for your thyroid. And then I'll throw in some miso paste for my digestion. And miso, by the way, it balances your hormones. So really great combination. You can try that on. And we talked a little bit about omega-3s with chia, with the flax, but I want you to think of skin or aging skin, hormonally unbalanced skin, wrinkled skin, crepey skin, for those of you that have that. Just think of them as de-fatted balls, okay? Like the fat's gone, so everything just crinkles up. That's why we need a whole lot more water and a whole lot of more fat in our diets, right? We need that to make them bouncy again. So get plenty of omega-3s. And another way you can get omega-3s is with fatty fish, but again, watch your mercury contents. You know, my husband, he follows Howard Stern a lot, okay? And he was eating fish every day. He went and got his mercury tested. He was so off the charts in mercury. So you really have to watch that. Make sure you're doing wild fish and not farm fish. But at Whole Foods, their fish is pretty safe, and the chances are you won't get as much mercury. So when I do eat fish, I buy it at Whole Foods, and I actually buy the farm fish. So you be the judge, but look at the safe places where you can buy it. In a lot of nuts, you can get omega-3s. The best source is walnuts, okay? Next, we look at amino acids. Amino acids are all your proteins. I love to get my amino acids in meat, eggs. They're my best sources, but sometimes I'll just do nutritional yeast. You know, that stuff that has all your amino acids and your omega-3s and proteins in one thing that tastes like cheese. So I get my cheese as well. Another great thing for your hormones are potassium-rich foods. Potassium is amazing, and potassium is in so many of your vegetables. So potassium comes from fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, meat, poultry, and sometimes from fish. So we can have another segment on what is in potassium foods. But really eat squashes too. Like spaghetti squash, it's going to be coming out, seasonal soon. Your zucchini squashes. Squashes are amazing for hormonal balance. And the next thing I'd like you to do is make sure you're getting enough protein at every meal. About the size of your palm, 18 ounces. You can get it from animal proteins, beans. There's so many ways you can get protein. What protein does is it balances that hunger hormone, ghrelin, and it stimulates the production of hormones to help you stay full, to help you stay satiated. So get your protein at every meal, especially breakfast. You can do that with the egg bone broth soup. And this is kind of a given. Avoid sugar and refined carbs. Now, I've said enough about that in our regular modules, so you get that. And if you have questions about that, I'm happy to answer them. And the biggie here is learn to modulate and manage stress. That 4-7-8 breath that we did in the very beginning, it really helps you. But you can also do things like meditation, yoga, massage, listen to soothing music. Normalize your levels of stress. Get that cortisol down, and you're going to be feeling so much better. Of course, you can consume healthy fats. We talked a little bit about that. And get to that little just right spot, that Goldilocks spot, where you're not overeating or undereating. Your body and your hormones want you just to eat until you're full, eat when you're hungry, and quit when you're full. And I like to say, keep it at the level where you start eating when you're at about a 4 or a 5 on the hunger scale, and then quit eating when you're about a 7. It's so much better for your digestion, and you're going to be happier because you're going to be able to maintain your ideal weight. Great sleep is another good one. We talked about the salty banana. And the last piece of this that I want to share with you are eggs. Now, there's so much controversy about eggs. The medical medium says, don't eat eggs. He says we've all got Epstein-Barr, and what Epstein-Barr feeds on are eggs. But you know what? I say a few eggs are okay, as long as they're pastured and they're organic. So try that on and see how it works for you. So this was my lengthy version of all the foods that work really, really well to balance my hormones naturally. So Penelope or Vicki, would you like to come on and just tell us what really stood out for you, and maybe something you're not doing that you're going to incorporate?
I'll throw my 2 cents in. I thought the banana, salty banana for sleep is great because my husband always has a tough time sleeping, so I'm going to try that.
Perfect. Great, great. Awesome. Hey, Vicki, I'm going to unmute you. I'm going to spotlight you and unmute you.
All right.
You're fine. You're great. Oops, I'm not unmuted yet. There you. Oops, I thought I unmuted you.
Mute. Okay, there we are.
Perfect. Great. What do you think?
Well, I'm looking at all this food and I'm like, you know, if I'm eating all this, I'm not going to have any room for the junky stuff, right? if I eat all this stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a thought that's come a couple times as I've been looking through things, and I just think, how am I going to eat that many vegetables? I don't even eat that much food in a day. But I guess if we're just doing all this, then we don't have room for the other stuff. So I've just been thinking of things like I can do for quick snacks and meals, and it's amazing how everything is connected to hormones. I guess that's another thing that really kind of stood out, is how
everything is connected to hormones. Our hormones control our bodies. And you can heal your body with your fork. Well, and your thoughts, and a little bit of movement, and some good supplements temporarily. And good sleep. But it starts with food, and it starts with your fork. And you know this about me. I used to be Ben and Jerry's poster child. I would eat a carton of ice cream every night, a loaf of French bread. Maybe you've heard my story. When I went to the store, I had to buy 2 loaves because one of them would be gone. And I even was known to sneak butter. Like I'd buy a pound of butter and I'd butter that French bread in the store. Like nobody saw me, right? I paid for it though. But I feel so much better now. I thought, how will I eat like this? And it hasn't been a challenge. It was in the beginning, but once I started, I felt so much better that my life changed. And all of a sudden, everything just kind of fell into place. So, yeah, really, really good stuff. And now you have the spotlight. Are there any other questions that you have? You've got Penelope and me, so your questions out.
Well, I think a couple questions. Pomegranates. So you can just do the pomegranate juice.
Oh, so there's
It doesn't need
something
to be
called, that's a great question. There's
Yeah.
something called POM, and you get it at, I think Safeway might have it. I know you like shopping at Safeway, but it's POM, and you can get it on Amazon as
Oh,
well.
yes.
It's POM.
I've seen
And
POM.
have
Yeah.
you seen it? Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
do a quarter cup of that a day,
Okay.
and it's perfect. Like, I like the Izzy's because they have a little fizz, but
Mhm.
one of my clients, Erin, she was drinking a lot of cherry Coke. So we got her on the pomegranate Izzy's, and
Yeah.
now cherry Coke is out of, she texted me today and said, no more cherry Coke, I'm done.
Good for her. That's
Yeah.
great.
I know, so
I
really, go ahead.
Oh, I say I don't like carbonated drinks, so that's never
Oh.
been a crutch of mine. But
Good.
I have plenty of others, but not carbonation. So, and then with the buckwheat, like it just comes in like little kernel type things, right? Or do you grind it? How do you?
No, you cook it like it is.
You cook it like it is. Okay.
Red Mill has a great one that's not ground, and
Okay.
you make it just like you would rice. 2
Okay.
cups of water, purified water, and 1 cup of the grain, and you
Okay.
just simmer it with covered on a medium, low to medium heat for about 20 minutes until all the water is absorbed. But I
Okay.
like to cook it with a little bit of nori, or some kind of a seaweed. I know it sounds weird, especially if you're going to eat it for breakfast, but you won't taste it, I guarantee it. And what's going to happen is you have that for breakfast, and you're getting the iodine you need to heal your thyroid. Because when your thyroid, actually most adrenal fatigue or most thyroid problems are because of adrenal fatigue. Your adrenals slow down, and the thyroid wants to balance, and so then the thyroid slows down, so you don't die. But but it's really the adrenals are the root cause, and doctors just want to put you on a thyroid med.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
But it's all about crowding things out. The more you eat this whole real food, and we talked a little today, and I'm going to put something together about quick, easy, fast, whole real foods, because I think that's really important. Because it's, especially when you have kids in your house. Penelope, Vicky has 3 beautiful girls, and maybe you might have some junk in the cupboard for them, and it might be hard not to go to it. I recommend you eventually wean off that, and you just don't have it in the house, and they don't have a choice. But sometimes I know it's hard, so you might want to go to that. But the more of this stuff you eat, and the quick, easy stuff, you're going to be crowding out all the bad food. And what's so fun, so many of my clients say they go back to the junk, and it doesn't taste good.
Yeah.
It really doesn't taste good. Yeah. So anything else? Penelope, do you have any parting words for us?
I think for me, I think the most important aspect is kind of embracing, the new ideas. And when I first began, eating really healthy and, my God, 7 to 8, cups of vegetables a day seemed like it was gigantic. And yet now that doesn't seem like much by the time you put it, my cucumbers in the morning or whatever in my salad at lunch. And it's funny how it just becomes kind of a lifestyle, and you just absorb that. And yet it had been so foreign to me for so long, because that wasn't something that I really focused on during my lifetime. The other aspect I think is really important is to gather all the data regarding the different foods and how those foods can incorporate with your body and make you feel, healthy, and certainly make these changes less offensive or abrupt. But I also believe that it's very important as women to look at how we think about the changes that our body goes through. I mean, I have many years on both of you, and so I could really talk about how the changes go through the years. And I think that one of the greatest and most important aspects of life is to embrace those changes and to not abruptly be offended by them, but to understand that this is another phase, another chapter, another educational piece. So you're adding in these different things that you're perhaps eating, these different ideas, and things are changing, but we're forever changing, because you really wouldn't want to be like you were for the entire run. But I think that how you think about the changes, and as you embrace the different concepts and the foods and the nutrition and all the amazing aspects that Kathryn teaches, I think that it's your attitude about how you embrace them, how they're not offensive to you, that it's like, oh my God, it's overwhelming. No, it isn't. Eat the cucumbers, for God's sake, and you're going to feel a lot better. So I think it's a lot of that.
The middle perspective. Yep. Thank you, Vanellope. Terrific. Well, this has been a wonderful call.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Vicki, we'll see you on the modules next Tuesday for 3 Months to Thrive. Enjoy them. 3 Months to Thrive next week is going to all be about joy and finding more pleasure in your life. So I think you may like that one more than the judgment.
Thank you, Kathryn.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Love
Thank you,
you.
Kathryn.
Bye-bye.
Bye.